Time to get working on some framing, starting to work on the floor. I'm going to start by cutting out the floorboards, get them fitted, and get all that done before I start cutting the foam board insulation. But I've put these pieces of cardboard on the frame. I mean, I know things are going to get scratched up anyway, but the paint's still fresh. I don't want to scratch it up too bad by throwing plywood on and off of the frame to size them and fit them all. So I think I'm going to be pretty cautious with it at first, but of course we'll take all that off when we do the final fitting. But we'll start cutting some plywood and getting it fit and ready for a floor. So what I'm doing at the seam of each piece of plywood, just because my framing's different, I cannot fit I could fit 4-foot sheets, but the seams would be in the middle of my floor joist, which would be a bad idea. To stay with the 18 3/4 inch on center of the floor beams, I am doing a simple lapse joint at the seam of every piece of plywood. So the actual lap is all over the beam, and there'll be a 1/4 inch on both sides of the seam that the full width of plywood is supported on. And then I will use wood glue and then screws to attach each of the joins. But that's how I'm going to do it. So as you can see, I got all the floorboards fitted and cut around the fenders. And now what I'm going to do is probably not needed, is even though the bottom of the RV is going to be covered with 2-inch thick foam board, and the foam board is going to be covered in a waterproof barrier membrane, and I intend on caulking all of the seams on the bottom of the trailer, I figured I'm going to take the extra step on the bottom of all the floor sheeting before I install it. I'm going to prime and paint it. I had some spare primer laying around, so I put a quick coat of primer on it, and then I had a large amount of some red barn paint that I used to paint my barn, and I had it left over, and I also put a couple of layers of the red barn paint on the bottom after the primer had dried. Again, this is probably not really needed because there's a chance of any moisture getting to the bottom sides of the floorboards is really, really slim, but I figured better be safe than sorry, and went ahead and got all the painting done before actually installing the floorboards actually permanently on the trailer. Figured it was just a really good idea, so we went ahead and did that and wrapped it up. So next step in the process on the trailer is cutting and fitting the hard foam board insulation for the floor. I did some research and online looking, and I found these soft material jigsaw blades. They literally look like a serrated knife, and all the reviews I've seen where people use these were by far the best at cutting the foam board. So my local hardware stores, box stores did not have them, so I had to order them off of Amazon, but hopefully they work as good as I saw on the videos. So let's get to it. I have to say I was really happy I did the research and watched some videos of people cutting the foam board with different saws and different techniques. Finding that soft material jigsaw blade was quite a blessing. It made cutting them so much easier. They came out really well. A couple of them just because of me and not keeping the line super straight. They were a little bit tighter than I wanted, but later down the road when I put the plastic on and slid them in for good, they actually went in really well. So was really happy with it. That blade worked wonderfully. It cut it so easily. The only problem, I did have one where I had the foam board on the side of the trailer and I was cutting it, but I didn't have it on the trailer far enough, and the foam board fell off while I was cutting it, and just that weight bent the blade. So the blades do bend easy, but I was able to straighten it out, and it is still a usable blade. But just be careful with those blades. They are a little on the soft side, and they can bend. But other than that, they worked great. I was able to use pretty much one blade for all of the cutting, and the blade still going strong. So I'm super happy with that. I will be using those saw blades when I do the interior foam boards on the inside of the trailer when we get that far. Well, got the majority of it cut out. I'm really happy with that blade. It left a bit of styrofoam mess on the floor and on the saw. But overall, I've worked with this stuff before. This is not much at all. So I'm pretty darn happy. Cut things fairly square, as straight as I could cut. I've got the gaps here to finish. I'm going to use these scrap blocks to build those, though I've got a few other things to do, so I'm calling it for the day. But yeah, all these are positioned. You'll notice they're not all pressed in. Some of them are a pretty tight fit, and I don't want to break the boards pulling them in and out, because I got to pull them out to put the plastic on. Well, as you can see, I finally got to getting that red barn paint on the boards. It's nice having the extra paint around, and I mean, this is good exterior waterproof paint, so it will protect the bottom of the floors. And you know, I'm hoping the paint never has to protect the floors, because I'm hoping no moisture ever gets in there. But just in case it does, having that extra bit of protection, probably a good idea. In fact, I may down the road, when we get the framing done further, is I might prime and paint the entire inside floor, walls, ceiling, everything, so they have a little bit better water protection, just in case. Now I'm getting to putting the plastic sheeting on the hardboard insulation. This is RV underbelly waterproof plastic I found on Amazon, and cutting it to size to fit the foam boards, and I'm using a 3M spray adhesive to glue the sheets to the board itself. Then once I'm getting to it here and getting the sheets all glued down, then I used a Sikaflex marine grade adhesive caulk along the inner perimeter of the frame itself, so that I was actually gluing the boards with the plastic in to the frame. And to me, that really helps seal the boards in. There are frame sections going underneath just about every single board that I installed, so the chance of them falling out is pretty much non-existent. I just figured the extra step would be worth it. Make sure the floorboards aren't going anywhere. And then also later down the road, when I was installing the actual wood floor itself, I used a high-grade construction adhesive to glue the foam boards to each of the floor sheeting as I put those down, and then I pre-drilled and sank metal screws into it. So there's like 15 screws along with the construction adhesive holding each floorboard down as well. Just trying to make it good and strong, and trying to make sure there's no chance of water intrusion, and that it just lasts a good long time. And hopefully all these extra steps do what they are intended to do, and this trailer lasts a good long time. We will have to wait to see that, but got our fingers crossed. Just like that, we've got the floor insulated. We've got the boards ready, painted and ready to install, so that's going to be the next step. Pretty darn happy with the way it's looking. It was actually quite satisfying to see the floor going down permanently. I'd even gone to the point of drawing the floor plan on the floorboards even before I was doing this permanent set for them. I did find that I was using a Loctite 8X construction adhesive, and the only thing I found with that is it was really, really, really stiff coming out of the tube. I bought them at Home Depot. They were really, really highly rated. Supposed to be a really, really good adhesive. I just found that my wrists really, really hurt when I was done, just from the force needed to get it out of the caulking tube onto the piece that you're working with. I mean, it's a highly reviewed, well-respected brand of construction adhesive, so we're going to hope that it's going to do the job. And I went through and I pre-drilled the holes. These are supposed to be self-tapping screws. I don't know if it's the gauge of the steel I used is too thick, but I was finding they were not going through very easy. So I went ahead and pre-drilled all the holes for all 15 screws per sheet. But I figure between the adhesive and the screws, my floor should not go anywhere. And it was really nice when we got it done. It felt good and solid, and it was kind of exciting to get up on it, walk around a bit, and just start getting a feel for what the trailer might be.
I'm going to video because it's our first official trip. Not to go camping, obviously. I didn't think of it. In the shelter here, it's safe from the rain. We could have had birds poop on it.
Did birds poop on it?
No.
Oh.
I'm just saying we could have, because birds do fly in and out of here. So is it kind of weird not having the stabilizer arms?
Oh, the
From the other hitch, the equalizer?
the weight distribution hitch?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Okay then.
At least to me it's not.
I just figured you do that so often, it would seem like it would be weird not doing it.
No. It's not weird at all. It's kind of nice not having to deal with it.
Got the first cut made for framing. It's getting started.
Nice.
He might be a little excited to be getting started.
Yes, I was a little excited to get started. Okay, a lot excited to get started. As you can tell, I'm no longer in my garage. I did some figuring, and I was intending on doing the construction in my garage and taking the wheels and tires off and using some car dollies to move the trailer in and out. Well, I got to doing some measuring, and it would work. I could build the trailer in my garage. I just wouldn't be able to get it out. My garage ceiling was high enough, but my garage door was not. So I have a good friend, Stan. He and his wife, Cy, they agreed to let me come up to their shop and use their shop so I could keep it out of the weather while I'm doing all of this wood framing. And it was a real blessing to be able to use their shop. It's been great, and it was quite fun, exciting, and a little nervous to get going on the framing. What I did is I went and bought 2x4 from Home Depot. I selected premium grade fir 2x4, and then I milled them down on a table saw and got them to the size I needed. And basically they are 3/4 inches wide and 2 1/8 inch thick. And that's my walls are going to be the 2-inch thick foam board. I made them a little bit thicker because I'm going to be spreading glue and gluing the foam boards into the wall. And then when I put the inner sheeting on for the inner wall, I'm also going to be gluing it onto that. And I figured the extra 1/8 of wiggle room for the thickness of the glue might be a good idea so that I have good flat walls inside. And got to work on laying stuff out, and unfortunately, you can probably see it through the video, I made a few mistakes and had to take boards off because I forgot, where this part was supposed to be, or this support, or this window, and it's, oops, I put this in the wrong spot. But seeing the actual physical walls start going up was super, super exciting. It's amazing to see it get this far, and there's Stan and Cy right there. They were swinging in to check on us as they were headed out for some of their own errands, and it's been a lot of fun to see this whole project come together, and the people that have come to our aid and helped us out where we needed it. But yep, there's the first section of the first wall. A lot of fun. And so what I'm doing also on this construction, and it's probably a little overkill, but I'm going to do it anyway, is every joint is glued and screwed. I found a 2-inch construction grade Phillips head screw. It's actually an exterior grade. I think it's actually for decking. And I'm using that where each bottom and top plate connect to the studs, where all of the sidewalls connect with each other. Everything is being pre-drilled, glued, and screwed. I figure doing a little extra is going to be better than not doing it. And down the road, it'll give me a stronger, hopefully longer lasting product when I'm finished with it. And the other thing I did was I came up with different angles for the roof. The reason for the different angles of the roof is for water shedding. But to get as straight as possible on that, I found that putting the bottom plates on with all of the studs, getting all the studs using a level, making sure that everything's as straight as possible, clamped together. And then I used a 8-foot straight edge that I had, lined it up exactly where I needed it, and used that as my saw guide so that I could get my roof angles as straight as possible and as even as possible. I know it's a little bit different than building the whole wall on the floor and then putting it up, but I figured this was probably the better way to do it, at least for me. Again, I'm not a carpenter. I have remodeled houses. I have built sheds. I've redid my barn. I mean, I've done a lot of other construction projects, but I am not a carpenter, and there's probably better ways to do it than the way I'm doing it. But this is what we chose to do, and it worked, and everything came out nice and level in the end, so can't really complain. Another thing I worked on through the process is, as I was framing like window locations, I test fitted windows. When I eventually got to the point where I was framing the roof vents and the roof skylight, I'm testing everything. Where I cut the hole for the water heater, tested that as well. And as we continued, before I started putting the roof up, I wanted to get a few sheets up on the front of the trailer so that it added additional stability and gave it lateral support for both directions before we started putting the roof up. And our first attempt, we realized that the walls had a little bit too much give to them. They weren't quite straight up and down. And I figure a ratchet strap was the fastest way to fix that problem, and it worked really, really well. We put a couple of blocks on the frame to help hold the roof up, and then cinched down the ratchet strap to hold it out in place while I worked on getting glue and screws set in each spot. Again, yes, I glued and screwed every single connection, where the roof meets the walls, where the walls meet the floor, every stud, every cross piece, everything was glued and screwed. And as you can see, we were test fitting the skylight because I had slapped this roof section together and then put it up, and then I thought to myself, we never made sure the skylight would fit between these two. Thankfully it did. I had a 16-inch on center to the trusses. Each truss is 3 and 1/8 inch thick. Again, I milled all these out of 2x4 to be the right size. I did this because 2x4s are decent wood for framing, and by buying the wood and cutting it down myself, I saved quite a bit of money. So that's another thing we were trying to do, is keep the cost down on this project. So it was pretty darn exciting to see all this coming together, and it was going along pretty darn smooth as well for the most part. Again, there was a few things that's like, oh yeah, I forgot to check this or that, and then I did later. And thankfully, sure enough, everything still fit, everything works, and coming along really good. Well, as you can see, things are going along pretty good. Today, I actually got my radiuses made. I took 3 pieces of 1x, glued them together, and then machined them down to the size we need. And those will all go in the corners for the windows. And once I get those installed and glued in, I can cut out 3 of my windows. And then I'll test fit all the windows before I proceed to make sure everything's going good. But we've pretty much got all the framing done, and it's time to get all the siding on and get all these windows cut out, and then we'll kind of go from there. But it's coming along. I think it's doing well. Hopefully, knock on wood, we'll get a lot done today. Getting the rest of the siding installed, pretty darn exciting. Still have a ways to go before it's campable, but it's really neat to see it taking shape. And it is also amazing just to feel how much steadier the trailer gets as you put the siding on. I've also noticed that in house construction, you start putting sheeting on the roof rafters, and it just really stiffens the whole project up, and it's really neat. But things went pretty smooth. We made cardboard cutouts to size the fenders. And then we use those cutouts to draw the basic outline on the plywood. Then we would test fit it. And then I would use pencil marks after we set it up to get it same distance away from the fender so it looks nice and even. And my intent is, as I wrap the siding up, I'm going to go around the bottom edge of all of the plywood siding and all of the open edges of the windows, doors, water heater, pass-through, vents, all of the openings in the plywood, and I found a total boat penetrating epoxy, and I'm going to use that around all of the open edges to just give it extra water tightness before we continue with the build. And again, I intend on test fitting everything as we go along. But it's really neat to, when you take that router and you cut the shape of the roof and cut the windows out, just how much it changes that single sheet of siding after you get it on. But really, really excited about how it's coming together. It's not perfect work, but I really like the way it's coming out. I like the extra steps we've taken. I think are going to really help in having a trailer that'll last us a long time and really fit our needs. So we're really looking forward to it. And here it is. All the siding's up. All the windows, all the access doors are cut out. It is really, really starting to get close to being to the point where we can start taking it out and using it. And yes, we intend on, as soon as this shell is waterproof and the windows and the skylight and the roof vents and all of that is installed, it may just be a hard-sided tent, but our intent is to use it, get it out there, and use it as is as I continue to work on it, as I continue to fit the interior and get electricity done and get all that stuff done. We intend to use it as soon as it's waterproof and capable of being used as such. It has been such an amazing project. It has been so much fun to see it come together, and it is really, really exciting to see it this far. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next adventure.